different pieces. Okay, in terms of measuring the cost of plant assets, so before we go into how to depreciate the asset, we have to know what to depreciate. What is the amount to depreciate? Meaning, what was the original historical purchase price of different type of asset? Okay, so this goes back to cost principle. Remember, we talked about cost principle along with other types of stable unit, monetary unit principle, entity concept earlier in the first 4 chapters. So the core of cost principle is that we always journalize an entry and its value based on that specific date's transaction, the agreement between the two parties. Remember, the purchase price is the historical cost, meaning that whatever we paid the very same day today, if we purchase, let's say, a constructed building already, or we're trying to construct a building and we sign a contract with others, whatever is on the contract that day will be recorded on the journal in the journal entry, and we don't go back to change that number. Okay, so cost principle determines the historical cost of the asset on the very same day that transaction happens, and that cost basically is a summary of all the costs incurred before the asset is up and running, before we can actually start using the asset. Okay, so in plain English is that before the asset is using, any cost that you actually spent on helping the asset start to produce the product or start to help the warehouse, all those costs needs to be added together, journalized in the entry. So just like the concept of inventory, remember we purchase inventory, but we may have shipping costs incurred. Remember that large inventory T account, we add purchase price with the shipping price if the agreement is FOB shipping point. And then if there's discounts, we will subtract discounts. So that also works for plant assets. If you purchase plant asset, let's say just furniture, a desk in the administrative office, that costs you $10,000. And the shipping cost will cost you additional $1,000. So that journal entry would not just be $10,000, it will be $10,000 plus the shipping cost, $1,000. And let's say you purchase another type of equipment, you also have assemble costs. You hire people, workers, to help you assemble the machine before you actually start using it to produce the products. Then any assemble cost would also be added to that journal entry. Okay, so basically any cost that incurred before the asset can start to be used in the business would need to be summarized in that entry. This goes back to cost principle. Okay, earlier we were just focusing on the dollar amount. Now I'm introducing you how to get to that dollar amount. So earlier I just directly tell you plant asset worth $200,000. But that may be a summary dollar amount of the purchase price, of the shipping cost, of any taxes, commission, anything that helps the asset to start working before we actually start using it in the business. Those we have to summarize them in journal entry. Okay, now in terms of problems that you do in these chapters, usually the problem will directly tell you what are the costs that incurred. So the easiest thing for you to do is just to add them all together. Okay, as long as it tells you before I start using the asset, the purchase price of this equipment is such and such dollars. The taxes related, commission is so and so. All of them, you just add them together in the journal entry. Okay, any cost incurred before using the asset has to be included in capitalization of the asset. Okay, capitalization of the asset means debiting the assets account. So if you purchase an equipment, you'll be debiting equipment, crediting cash or accounts payable. The debit equipment will include all the summary of all the costs that incurred. That's called capitalization of equipment. Okay, just a term we use for plant assets when we journalize, when we purchase plant assets.